Wow. Do I have something I need to get off my chest about Caitlin Clark from over the weekend and the end of last week? Man, the Caitlin Clark hate has now burned up.
Caitlin Clark has recently revealed some shocking news that probably shocked the whole WNBA. Is it really so hard to act surprised? This season, she carried the league on her back for the most part of you who tuned in, and now she's had enough. Yes, that's it for her. Honestly, can you really blame her? I'm positive that I wouldn't. She has encountered physical defense. At the professional level, saying, to quote a telereporter, I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me and opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with. He also expressed unhappiness with the league's officiating. Caitlin Clark stated as much. That's what she stated. All right, but I believe there is a more serious problem at hand, and when this occurred, this. The league didn't deserve her in the first place. She surpassed attendance records, raised ticket sales, catapulted a moribund team into the playoffs after a decade of obscurity, and actually made her jersey a top seller. And what was it she got back in exchange? A cheap eye poke, shoulder hits, 6-point technical fouls, false charges of racism, and a reputation as a nasty player. Furthermore, Caitlin Clark's fatigue is evident. She has participated in the entire game, but she frequently nods off when playing defense, leaving Mabry vulnerable to the dagger three that determines the outcome of the game. If it is the way you are acknowledged for joining the league. Watchable, I would also turn it off. You know what, though, really broke her? Why did she wait to drop this shocking revelation? What did she say to make it clear that everything was over? I'll give you the straight story. It was clearly visible from a mile away. Caitlin Clark's rage had been building for weeks, but it reached a breaking point when the Indiana Fever lost in a heartbreaking game that eliminated them from the playoffs. She wasn't thrilled about what occurred there, but she wasn't built for this league's rough play. Yes, she isn't moving fast enough to avoid the physical contact. Clark was therefore absent. With a score of 87-81, she is playing as if her life depended on it, dishing up 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds while essentially attempting to win the game for her team by herself. But hey, what do you know? Instead, her teammates decided to go to bed. Although Clark appeared to be a one-woman army, her team was inexperienced in making mistakes, such as missing shots. To win, Caitlin requires assistance from the other 4 players in some way. This child is on the incorrect team. She possesses. She's a rookie with the wrong skill set to deal with that league's roughness. To begin with, Temi. Diagonally. How should I start? In essence, her presentation was a horror show. She messed up badly, making stupid mistakes like breaking the shot clock just when the Fever needed to pick up speed the most. And when she wasn't shooting 0 for 3 and giving the ball back to the Sun like it was a keepsake, she was hanging around looking confused. Really, though, don't you agree with Gino that she should be on a better team? And she requires greater expertise. But hold on. Vivian's Victoria wasn't any better, an experienced player who should do well under duress. No, instead she opted to go unnoticed, scoring 6 points on just 2 of 10 attempts. 2 out of 10, really. Not only were shots missing from her, her eyes were so wide open that I could have easily won her over. And then there was Kelsey Mitchell, the consistent goal scorer who vanished at the most inconvenient moment. 9 points from 3 of 12 shots made. For someone who was anticipated to be among Indiana's top scorers, 3 out of 12, she hesitated, missed shots, then shot air balls, giving off the impression that she was completely lost. It seems like the Fever intended her to be clutch just when she had stage fear. Caitlin Clark suffered a beating in the WNBA playoffs for the first time. Clark was out there giving it her all, yet it was terrible to watch things fall apart around her. Her teammates would trip over each time she made an incredible play or a clutch 3, pass the ball back to the Sun, and give Clark a weak, oops, my bad look. Her body language told me that every turnover and missed shot felt like a kick to the stomach. It's critical that we draw attention to this. When I spoke about Caitlin Clark this morning, I mentioned a few guys who, if you want to use the word envy, are fine. It's okay for you to use the word jealousy. That's what you want to call resentment. Our goal is to use words to play. That's awesome. It's something, and I believe that some of the WNBA's female players, not all of them, but some of them are missing the mark. And that is the point. This girl is a draw at the ticket office. It was obvious that this wasn't just a loss when the final buzzer went off and Clark stood there, shoulders lowered, staring at the scoreboard. This was a sobering reminder that unless she had a team that could help her, no matter how hard she worked, how many shots or plays she made, it would not be enough. It was more than just the postseason's conclusion. Her patience was likewise at an end, an increasing wave. Lifts every boat. Milk it if Caitlin Clark is the quote-unquote golden girl and the savior. Uncle Casey, however, is here to inform you. The festivities are over. Reality is rapping on the porta potty door. At last, the truth is beginning to surface. The same light that, after Caitlin Clark is eliminated from the playoffs in around 12 hours, will be fading here. The whole Women's Basketball Association. As Caitlin Clark conveyed the news, they almost fell out of their seats. She's not just giving up on the league. Her destination is Europe. Yes, it is correct. The WNBA's most thrilling rookie ever has packed her bags and declared her departure. Is it really fair to hold her responsible? Clark had to deal with constant pressure, cheap shots, and foolishness before realizing she needed to reset. It's not unexpected that she made this declaration so soon after the Indiana Fever's heartbreaking playoff loss to Connecticut, given that she led her team to prominence while getting little support. There was bound to be something. There were seasons that were regular. Games this season with over 1.8 million viewers starring Caitlin Clark. But there's a ton more disappointment ahead, so I hope Kat Engelbert is prepared for that. She revealed the information during a depressing news conference on September 29th, 2024, during which she disclosed that she will be playing abroad the next season. I must restart, she said. I need to get away from all of this, and it was clear she was worn out mentally and emotionally. She also didn't mince words. She criticized the league for its bad officiating, lack of safeguards against unscrupulous plays, and unceasing attacks from players and supporters alike. She seemed to be putting everything on the line. Yes, you people have made this town intolerable, which is why I'm going. Now, though, everyone ought to realize that Indiana has suffered more than just a setback. For the entire league, it is a nightmare in terms of finances and reputation. It wasn't just a rookie season for Clark in his debut. It was an entirely new experience. The instant she appeared in court in May, her popularity and sales of tickets took off. Attending an Indiana Fever game has fast become a must. I'm simply looking at a few of the figures here to put it on another level. In terms of league attendance, the Indiana Fever, captained by Caitlin Clark, had the best home and away attendance figures. Average Fever was 17,035 at home and 15,000 when traveling. Data spanning the entire chronology shows that attendance for the entire league is up almost 50% this year. The Indiana leagues, all of which had 17,035 average attendance each, as I mentioned earlier, sales of merchandise are rising. Ticket sales increased by 60%, and every arena she played in was packed to capacity. Clark alone drew almost 600,000 viewers to her play in her first season. Think about this. Over 500,000 people watched one newbie. She wasn't just a player, though. She was the main draw and the reason for the league's quick rise in popularity. The league's most dominant squad. For a playoff game, they are unable to gather 500,000 spectators, the New York Liberals and the Atlanta Dreamers. Once more, the Liberals are said to be stars. Do you recall when ESPN said the Liberals were the new big three? Liberals, Dreamers, and 410,000 watchers. The Minnesota Lynx vs. Phoenix Masculines game was the other one. Once more, the media asserts that women possess immense star power. Donna Taurasi, renowned for her 20-year WNBA career, known for attempting to smuggle Cheech and Chong into Mother Russia so she could spend several months on vacation with Vlad Putin, is Bob Greiner. These are the players you should be interested in watching, according to the media. What was the number of people who watched on Sunday night? 403,000. Furthermore, more than simply the ratings were in the poor category. Another thing clogging the drain was attendance. Furthermore, it goes beyond butts and seats. Clark was an endless source of revenue. Her jerseys released into the stores caused a dramatic spike in merchandise sales, which had been stagnant for years. In August 2024, her jersey surpassed even the sales of legends like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi to become the most sought after in league history. Indiana's home court, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, has transformed from a deserted site to the most sought after attraction in the area. Customers were spending $200 merely to sit courtside. In addition to making history, Clark brought in money for the WNBA. Just like that, poof, it's gone. The WNBA and the Fever are in danger of going bankrupt as a result of Clark's departure for Europe. Take a look at the statistics. In 2023, Indiana's average attendance per game was a pitiful 3,000. But after Clark arrived in 2024, attendance shot up to 15,000 every game, a startling 400% rise that was all her fault. Compute the numbers, just her appearance brought in over $5 million in revenue for tickets throughout the regular season. The stats are meaningless without her. This goes beyond just dropping a star. It's losing a golden goose, too. At the merchandise booths, Clark's influence continued. Her influence altered the radio industry. In June 2024, the Fever took against the New York Liberty on ESPN, and a staggering 1.5 million people watched the broadcast. In context, this goes beyond your average NBA game on TNT. Such figures have never been witnessed by the WNBA. Superstar matches like those between Breanna Stewart and Aja Wilson or Sabrina Ionescu and Kelsey Plum used to be the league's go-to attraction, but Clark's games attracted a larger audience. Clark completely changed the story. But do you know what she got in the end after all this? With your fingers, begin counting. Initially, Alyssa Thomas practically shouted from the rooftops that Clark's appeal is solely based on racial bias, as per her statement. The only thing that made Clark popular was that she is a white woman dominating a sport where black players predominate. Pardon me, I guess it doesn't matter anymore to score 35 points a game and break records left and right. Apparently, having the wrong skin tone makes all of your hard work, talent, and supremacy on the court mean nothing. What a joke. In postseason Game 1, DeJohnny Carrington elevated Filthy to a whole new level. She poked Clark in the eye, momentarily blinding her in addition to fouling him. And what do you know, there were no fouls reported. Really, umpires? While Carrington is dancing around as if she hasn't just transformed the game into a low-budget wrestling battle, Clark is wobbling around like she's been pepper sprayed. It was not just Carrington playing this terrible game. Let me introduce you to Candace Carter. She started working on Clark's ribcage, taking cheesy, misleading photos that should have immediately resulted in her expulsion. Is she making something up to receive the call? It is possible to think both ways. One may consider, hey, this is deliberate, it's a dirty play, but another possibility is Caitlin Clark exaggerating this too much? Subsequently, during the game, when it was mentioned that Caitlin Clark's face had a black eye, I realized that it was deliberate and caused significant harm. While Carter is flinging elbows like she's in an MMA fight, Clark is out there gasping for oxygen like she just ran up Mount Everest. What about the referees? Most likely too preoccupied to notice scrolling through Instagram. Not a bugle, for this reason in the end. She wasn't wrecked by the physical toll or the playoff losses. It was the complete pettiness, the constant focusing on her, the way every transgression against her was treated as a footnote while she was beaten for exhaling too forcefully. However, she still needs to buy her tickets. It's like she decided all of a sudden that she wanted to move to Europe. To be honest, it's probably the best choice she can make at this time, so she ought to go for it. What do you think? Will you accompany her abroad if she decides to relocate?